Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here. In this video we're going to be discussing a monster trade as the New Jersey Devils acquired Timo Meier from the San Jose Sharks in a huge blockbuster package. We'll get to all the details coming up right now. Hello and welcome to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. In this video we're going to be discussing a monster deal between the New Jersey Devils and the San Jose Sharks. And the deal is as follows. The New Jersey Devils acquire Timo Meier at 50% contract retained, so only a $3 million cap hit. Timur Ibragimov, Santeri Hetaka, Scott Harrington, Zach Emond, and a 2024 7th round pick from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Fabian Zetterlund, Andreas Johnsson, Nikita Okhotiuk, Mukhamadullin, a 2023 first round pick, a conditional 2024 second round pick, and a 2024 7th round pick. So this is a major deal. We'll start things off with the New Jersey Devils perspective. Now most of these players are mostly going to be bottom end players. Emond is looking good, but he's playing the ECHL right now. He currently has 4 games played this year. He has a 2.22 goals against average and a 936 save percentage, so he's done really well this year. He has played in the ECHL and AHL last year after turning pro, but he still hasn't really found his game, so maybe he plays some more games in the ECHL. I don't expect him to keep on playing in the ECHL, given the fact that the Devils have guys like Akari Schmid and Nico Dawes in the minors. So it's quite possible that if they got injured, Emond could come into the AHL, but for now I think he's more like a 4th, 5th string goalie for the New Jersey Devils, and I would expect him to probably be more of a depth addition. For Ibragimov, same sort of thing. He's playing the ECHL right now. He split time between ECHL and AHL last year after coming over from Russia, and he did all right, but he's been more of an ECHL forward this year, putting up 32 points in 52 games. I think he can definitely be a good ECHL forward, maybe AHL forward, but it's quite hard to say if he'll ever make the NHL, so not really a big addition there for the Devils either. I think one of the bigger ones was Santeri Hetaka. Hetaka had his first taste of NHL action last year, putting up 2 assists in 9 games. He also had 3 goals and 12 points in 41 AHL games last year with the San Jose AHL team. He so far hasn't gone into very many games this year, only has 2 assists in 8 games, so he hasn't really played much, but I think in time, if he can continue to develop really well, he could eventually be a third pair defenseman, and I think it's possible that he does really well. He's, in my opinion, sort of the Okhotiuk replacement in New Jersey. As for Scott Harrington, decent depth defenseman. He signed a 1-year $750,000 deal just before the season started with the San Jose Sharks. He's a really good 6th, 7th defenseman. He played majority of last year in the AHL, putting up a decent amount of points in the AHL last year for the Columbus Blue Jackets. This year, he's played majority of the season in the NHL, putting up a goal and 7 points in 28 games. So he hasn't been a consistent forward. He has definitely played a lot more since the trading of Jason Megnev by the Sharks. So definitely he has gotten a little more playing time. But on a deep New Jersey team, I think he'll probably be a 7th defenseman. I know that guys like Ball, Brendan Smith have sort of rotated on and off on that third pair for the Devils when healthy, so maybe he can also rotate into that third pair as well. So not a bad move for the Devils to acquire Harrington. I think he's a good depth defenseman, someone really good to have for like a playoff run. And they get the Avalanche's 2024 5th rounders, so if you're just looking at those 2 depth picks, they move up 2 rounds in next year's draft. So really good move for them to get Avs 5th round pick for next year. But the big piece of this deal for the Devils is Timo Meier. Meier's having another fantastic season. After last year, where he had 35 goals and 76 points in 77 games, he's had another fantastic year this year. He had 31 goals and 52 points in 57 games. So he still looks pretty good. Maybe not to the extent of how well he did last year, but I think Meier and Jersey will be absolutely good. He's a Swiss defenseman, so he's from Switzerland. So is Devils center Nico Hischier. So those two have probably played internationally a bit, and those two I could probably see even playing on the top line for the Devils. So this is a really good move for Jersey. Now Jersey did sound like they wanted an extension, but they were sort of warming up to the fact that they'll try to work out an extension later. The Devils do get him at only $3 million with 50% retained, so it's not too much for this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to work out a deal before free agency so they don't have to sign him to the $10 million qualifying offer. But if they can't work out a deal, I wouldn't be surprised if they also qualify him as a restricted free agent. So this is a really good move for Meier. and jersey. And I think if they can work out a long-term extension, Meier could have a really good future with the New Jersey Devils. As for the San Jose Sharks side, I know there's a lot of people out there who have been saying that they expected a much bigger return from Meier, but I think this is actually a pretty low-key, good addition for the San Jose Sharks. Now, Andreas Johnsson's a cap dump. He's been playing majority of the season in the minors this year for the New Jersey Devils. He had 35 points in 71 NHL games last year, but after the moves in the offseason, he didn't really make much sense on the Devils roster, so he has gone into 2 NHL games this year, but has 29 points in 36 AHL games, so I think the Sharks could keep him in the minors, but if they were to move guys like Kevin LeBanc and Nick Bonino before a deadline, like a lot of people are speculating they will, then I think Johnsson could possibly come up and be like a stopgap player at the NHL roster, and it might be good for Johnsson too, given the fact they'll probably be wanting to try and get an NHL contract next year. So maybe the Sharks bring him up to the NHL lineup so he can play a couple of games. It would not surprise me at all if they did that. As for the other players, they get 3 good young players. Fabian Zetterlund had 52 points in 58 AHL games last year, earning himself a call-up to the NHL, where he had 3 goals and 8 points in 14 games last year. He's looked fabulous for the New Jersey Devils last year, and he was able to get himself onto the NHL roster this year, where he has 6 goals and 20 points in 45 games. So he's done absolutely brilliantly for the Devils. I think Zetterlund's a good bomb 6 forward right now, but in a couple of years I think he could be a really good middle 6 forward. So I think this is a really good addition for San Jose. Zetterlund's in the final year of his deal as well, but he's a restricted free agent, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks worked out a multi-year deal with Zetterlund after this year. So not too bad of an addition in Zetterlund for the Sharks. As for Okhotiuk, he got into a little bit of NHL action last year as well, getting a goal and an assist in 5 games, and also had a pretty good AHL season, putting out 12 points in 63 games. This year, he's also split time between the NHL and AHL, getting a goal in 10 NHL games and has 6 points in 20 AHL games. So he hasn't played as much as he did last year, but I think he's a really good defenseman, and I think he's a future third-pair defenseman. If I'm correct, Okhotiuk is waivers eligible next year, so he'll have to remain on the roster. So I think if he can play well enough to the end of this year and show good enough in training camp, he should be able to make the Sharks roster next year, but definitely a good addition for the Sharks. And I think Mukhamadullin, really great prospect. He's been playing over in the KHL over the past couple of seasons. He looks like a really elite level top 4 defenseman. Had 3 goals and 7 points in 34 KHL games last year over in Russia. But this year, he's absolutely popped off. He has 6 goals, 25 points, and 67 KHL games. So he looks really good. There was also some speculation that after this year, he'll probably turn pro, and we'll get into some game action at the NHL or AHL level as well. So it's not surprising to see him. I was expecting to probably start the year in the AHL next year, maybe get a little bit up to speed, maybe by the end of next year, or at some point next year, or maybe in the following year. Mukhamadullin could be an NHL forward. I think he's got serious top 4 potential for the San Jose Sharks. Now, they also have 3 draft picks in this one. The simple one is a 2024 7th rounder from the Devils. They moved down 2 spots by giving the Devils the 2024 5th rounder, so not too much of a surprise there. The 2 first-round picks, though, are a little bit complicated, but the best way I can say it is the Devils' first-round pick this year is top 2 protected, so if the Devils do wind up winning the lottery, they are going to keep that pick and send the Sharks their 2024 first-rounder. Now, I find that very highly unlikely. The Devils are really good in the playoffs right now, and I wouldn't expect them to miss the playoffs, so I think they will give them their 2023 first-round pick and make the playoffs. As for the 2024 first-round pick, there's a few conditions on it, but basically, the biggest one is, if the Devils wind up making the Eastern Conference Final this year, and Meier plays in 50% of the games, or if the Devils wind up making the Eastern Conference Final next year, that 2024 second-round pick will be upgraded to a 2024 first-round pick. And that 2024 first-round pick is also top 10 protected. So I think it's definitely a really good scenario for the Devils. I think if they're doing good and they get into Eastern Conference Final, they give up the first-round pick next year. So I don't think this is too bad of a deal for San Jose, possibly getting 2 first-round picks for Meier. I think they should definitely get a 2023 first-rounder, but I'm not sure that'll really be a high pick. Once again, just like the Tampa's pick I discussed in my last video, probably somewhere between 25 and 32 would be my guess for Jersey's first-round pick. You've also got next year, we don't know exactly how they'll do, but it is top 10 protected, so if it goes between 11 and 32 in next year's draft, Sharks will be able to get it as long as the Devils either make the Eastern Conference Final this year or next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. In my opinion, I think the Devils did win this deal given the fact that there was a lot of talk out there that they would have to include one of Alex Holtz or Dawson Mercer or Simone Nemec in a trade, and they were able to keep all of their A prospects, their blue chip prospects. They were able to keep all of them. So I think this is a really good move for Jersey. They give up a couple of decent players like Mukhamadullin, Zetterlund, Okhotiuk. They're all really good players. And the first round pick and possible second round pick in next year's draft is also a pretty tough pill to swallow for the Devils as well. But getting Meier is a really good addition for the New Jersey Devils, and I think that adding Meier to this lineup will make it really lethal. And I think in a first-round series between Jersey and New York Rangers, which is what it's setting up to be right now, this is going to be a really bloodbath of a series. So, in my opinion, Devils win this deal right now. If Mukhamadullin gets really good and is an amazing top-four defenseman, Zetterlund and Okhotiuk both produce at a really high level, and they hit home on the first-round pick in this year's draft and the first and second-round pick in next year's draft, and Meier maybe leaves after next year as a free agent, maybe the Sharks do end up winning this deal. But at least from my opinion, given the fact they didn't give up any blue-chip prospects and the fact that they got Timo Meier at 50% retained, I think the Devils do win this deal. But let us know what you think. What do you think of this Meier to New Jersey deal? And what sort of other deals do you think San Jose and Jersey could be making before the deadline? I think Jersey could probably add another maybe depth forward to their lineup, especially given the fact that they traded away Johnsson and Zetterlund. For the Sharks, I think that they're probably still going to be sellers. I think they could probably move Kevin LeBanc, a Nick Bonino, a James Reimer. So it's going to be interesting to see what both of these teams do before the deadline. But that's all I'm talking about in this video. Remember to like this video and subscribe. I also do a blog, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.